Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Ruben, good morning, Rufai. Good morning, the beautiful Tundu, Abiola.
Good morning, Mr.
Yes, let's start with this day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story, 1,247 petitions filed on alleged police brutality in 30 states, FCT. Kanu, 5 others failed to set up judicial panel. Yes, Kanu is joined in that list by Kebbi, Zamfara, Borno, Yobe, all states where you have either insurgency or banditry ravaging. And they have not set up the panel because, as one guest on this program said last week, we don't have brutal SARS in the north. I hope that is actually correct. But of course, FCT, we are having that panel, and a number of other states also in the north. Now, whether those states are right not to set up the panel to say that there's no police brutality, well, left to be seen. But if we just also look at the front page of this day newspaper, there is the story there. APC, PDP in suspense game over zoning of presidency. Who will make the first move, as in the game of shares? These parties are waiting for the other to make the next move. Will it be Igbo presidency zoning the ticket to the southeast? Who will make the first move? We will keep on watching the scenario as it unfolds. But if we look at other newspapers, yes, the Daily Sun newspaper, recession, it's official. For the second consecutive quarter, Nigeria economy contracting, this time by 3.62%. And the newspapers are reporting on the recession. Scores to lose jobs, according to the Daily Sun, NECA, that is Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Agbakoba, Ohabuwa, others tackle government. We could have avoided this if government had heeded to cancel Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the PDP in the last presidential election. Airlines to review fares upwards. Now, Daily Independent newspaper, of course, Atiku, analysts list measures to exit Nigeria from worst recession. Yes, the worst recession in 3 decades. PDP former VP say failure to heed counsel caused the current state. Cut cost of governance, not public services, Serap tells Buhari. The Daily Times of Nigeria, good old Daily Times, also reporting on this. Nigeria can shorten her worst recession in 33 years. That's the lead story there. While the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria's Guardian newspaper, wobbly choices for CBN on recession as Monetary Policy Committee meets. Economists chart path to tackling recession. Too early to predict shape of recovery, says Adeni Kinju. Yes, recovery depends on global response to second wave of COVID-19. While the Punch newspaper, Buhari regime second recession, cut governance costs, aid production, diversify, experts tell federal government. Government policy emphasizes revenue sharing, not production, Utomi, others tell government. Third recession imminent unless federal government diversifies economy, says Abuja Chamber of Commerce. Swallow your pride, seek help, Atiku urges president. Tax luxury goods, ex-NEC boss. Now, the Nigerian Tribune, a different subject altogether. APC governors meeting with Jonathan stirs controversy. Visit is APC's apology over power grabbing. PDP rattled, disoriented, say, according to APC. Well, I don't know what you read into that visit. Are they trying to woo the former president? Or it's just a normal routine visit? Well, Ruben, you may know something about that. You are still member of the Jonathan inner circle, if I may say. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, 2023, Northern Elders back Igbo presidency. Task APC, PDP to zone tickets to Southeast, appeal to all other interested zones to support Southeast. Thank Igbo elites, leaders, for denouncing Nnamdi Kanu's plot to destabilize Nigeria. Yes, the Northern Elders Forum supporting the clamor for Igbo presidency. Indeed, they are saying that the major political parties, APC, PDP, should zone the presidency to the Southeast because, in their words, their call is born out of the need for every part of the country to be fairly and equitably treated in the nation's political affairs. Well, good one coming from the Northern Elders. I'm sure that will be music to the ears of Igbo leaders, Igbo elites, and top Igbo politicians like Dave Umai, who many say has his eyes fixed on the presidential ticket of his new party, the APC. Well, the Daily Trust newspaper, sad one, Nasarawa APC chair assassinated, Zamfara Imam, 30 others still in captivity, 2 abducted at Reps members' residence in Katsina. Our security operatives must end violence. President Muhammadu Buhari. Yes, we've heard that over and over again. Sad news on that assassination. Now, the foreign newspaper, I'll just look at the Daily Express of the UK. It's official, this Daily Express of UK. It's official, Christmas is saved. Families able to meet for 5 days of festive cheer. Yes, families will be free to meet at Christmas, 5 days under plans to cheer what has been described as a selfless nation. Of course, the rules of socializing will be relaxed under a UK-wide pact expected to allow 3 households to form a bubble. And of course, in January, there will be 25 days lockdown in return for that mixing of people during the festive period. If we look at the Wall Street Journal in the USA, Biden chooses Secretary of State. Yes, President-elect intends to nominate Anthony Blinken to serve as Secretary of State, who to turn around, he's turning into a trusted diplomat and foreign policy advisor to oversee the work of rebuilding the U.S. relationship around the world. Blinken is currently the foreign policy advisor. He was the foreign policy advisor to the Biden presidential campaign. Other nominations that are under consideration or almost nailed include Linda Thomas Greenfield, who is being touted as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Of course, Linda Thomas Greenfield served as Secretary of State, African Affairs, 2013 to 2017, while Jake Sullivan, a State Department veteran, is to serve as National Security Advisor. Of course, he too served as Deputy Secretary of State during, he served as National Security Advisor to Vice President Biden during the Obama administration. Yes, of course, a president-elect who is ready to hit the ground running, whether President Trump cooperates or not. Over to you, Tundu.
Well, I'm a bit disappointed about the Secretary of State. I was hoping for another woman because they've only had two in America so far, obviously Condoleezza Rice and Hillary Clinton, and I hoped we'd get another woman, but alas, no.
Three, Madeleine Albright.
Yes, Bill Clinton's three. Thank you.
The big challenge that we face in the United States is the uncertainty that is still surrounding the presidential election. President Trump has sent out more tweets since that election was concluded than at any other time in the course of his presidency. Between that time and now, over 18 persons have died, on account of COVID-19, bringing it up to a total of over 255,000 persons dead. Now, he seems not to be any more interested in that. And then you find the Biden camp that is interested in solving that major problem, not being allowed to do so because of this uncertainty. Now, President Trump has filed suits in about 33 states. He has already lost in 31 states. And he is also making appointments. The president-elect, presumptively, is also making appointments. So we see this confusion. And I think that what is important for the United States to move forward is for this, uncertainty to be cleared. But the good news, of course, is that we have quite a number of Republicans, Susan Collins and others, who are saying that, they will support President Biden's nominations for the cabinet. So we hope that these nominations that have been made by Vice President-elect, President-elect Joe Biden, that you will not have problems taking them through the Congress. But first, the Trump problem will need to be addressed. And I hope that all the states that have shown that they're going to certify the results will go ahead and do so. Michigan has said so, Georgia has said so, and we hope that the General Services Administration will just, put an end to this uncertainty. And President Trump, if it means dragging him out of that White House, will need to be dragged out of the place. As for recession, well, I think the recession is foreseeable. During the second quarter, GDP growth, we had negative growth of 6.1%. This time around, we have 3.6%, two consecutive, negative growth in one quarter after another recession. But the big problem is stagflation. And I think that that is where we are in Nigeria. There is no growth going on. Inflation is going up. And we need to measure this in terms of the impact on the ordinary Nigerian who is going to suffer more. I mean, even before COVID-19, it's not as if the economy was doing well, behaving in a fantastic manner. And now, with COVID-19, the closure of the borders, the loss of revenue, the crisis with the oil and gas sector, Nigerians have now found themselves in this terrible corner of the year. And that's why what is important is what would government do to address, this looming disaster in terms of, the epidemic of empty pockets, rising prices within the market, and the helplessness of average Nigerians. And I think that this is now the real time when that Presidential Economic Advisory Council that was set up by President Buhari must come up with creative ideas. I've seen quite a number of people in the newspapers making a number of suggestions as to what government should do. Reduce costs. There's nothing original about that. Diversify the economy. We have had that all the time. Okay? Everybody all of a sudden has become an economist, which is understandable. But government just must address this issue so that by the end of the year, we don't get ourselves into bigger trouble. We were told 14-point inflation rate. We were warned it would be over 14%, almost about 3 months ago. Now that has happened. It could even get worse if nothing is done. So what is important is for the policymakers not to say they are helpless. And we don't want to see a situation whereby it's the CBN, doing the heavy lifting on the monetary side and the fiscal side, and also handling everything. The people on the fiscal policy side should also wake up. I don't think we can stress that, too much.
I actually wanted to talk more about the Biden's pick, but the more relevant story for us is the recession. So, Dr. Abati, Mr. Efeni, and Rufai, what are your thoughts on taxing the super rich, as was suggested by former Vice President Atiku?
I mean, it's not today they've been planning on taxing the super rich. I remember at a point they said, oh, we're going to put a levy on luxury goods and the likes, these goods that the super rich will buy. We didn't see the end of that. I mean, we are not seeing that already. Yeah, taxing the super rich, that's a sort of like a Tomo Piketty agreement, mindset and thinking, in his book, Capital in the 21st Century. But the question is, will it work in this country? Is that what we ought to do at this time? Because we know the loopholes. You see, the painful thing for me about this recession we have had is, let me use the words of somebody in Britain that says it's a do-it-yourself recession. It's like a DIY recession. And these are because we have not done the things that we ought to do over the years, and we have left ourselves. And COVID-19 just aided and abated. It's the first recession too, was exactly almost the same trend. And we know the solutions. The solutions are being bandied around. Oronsaye report has been gathering dust for so many years. Why can't we just implement it and things like that? So we can go on and on about that refrain. But like Dr. Abati said, it's all old news. And we don't want to talk about all of those things again. The most important thing that can fight the recession is a political will. Are we ready to make those changes? Yeah, those changes are good on paper. But is the government ready to make those changes, most importantly? And speaking on Trump, I'm not surprised. It's just for the GSA to call it now. But everybody around the world knows that Trump has lost. In fact, even him, there was a report that came out on MSNBC that was saying that even him said he knows he has lost, he can't make it. But the truth is he will not accept because the Democrats made his administration hell for him, that they impeached him, that they delegitimized the elections that brought him in. They said Russia brought him in. So he too wants to make life a living hell for them.
But America has had a problem with legitimacy with presidential elections for years. They need to stop that.
That's what he's saying in his inner caucus. Obviously, when you talk about who a child is, Trump is an epitome of a big baby.
The Clinton election.
Recession, though. It's a tragedy foretold. You recall that IMF and World Bank, the Bretton Woods institutions, had predicted that there would be global recession. So the whole world, with the disruption in the demand and supply chain, was bound to go into recession. But what other countries have done was to plan ahead. But we got stuck in this COVID-19 trap, and on our over-dependence on just one commodity, crude oil. And I guess that after all of this, the basic lessons will be learned, and planning ahead, the next set of Nigerian leaders that will probably emerge will take proper stock of what we have gone through in the year of COVID-19 and try to apply lessons learned from the disruption that we have seen this year, both globally and locally. And that's all. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Efeni. That's all we'll be taking on the news headlines.